everyone. Hi. Yes. Well, welcome back to week 2, Educational Moments with Dr. Naita. I'm here. You're here. So we're here. So I am so excited that you are here this evening. Oh, I received wonderful feedback from the episode last week. So this week we are going to continue in that same energy and excitement. But this week, I think I said this year, but I meant to say this week. But this week we are going to focus on our educators, whether you're K-12, meaning you teach elementary, middle, or high school, or you teach at the collegiate level. We are focused on you, and I have some very special guests tonight. Do you want to meet them? Are you excited? Do you want to meet them? I am so excited. I have some special guests tonight, and they're going to stop by at some point. So let's see. I think I just heard the doorbell. So that means that we have some guests here tonight. So come on in. Hey, everyone says hello to Miss Wanda and to Miss Susan or Dr. Susan. How do you want us to greet you tonight, Susan?
Just Susan, please.
Okay, well, everyone, let's give a warm round of applause to Susan and Wanda. Woo! Oops, stop laughing abruptly. Well, good evening, ladies. How are you?
Good.
Doing well. Well, again, I am so excited that you all are here. And so our topic this evening is we are really focusing on educators and being ready for engagement. Because this year of all years, we have to hit the ground running. So we're going to talk about that a little bit. So we have to hit the ground running. But before we do, I want to know, please introduce yourself and tell us, did you do anything special this summer? Anything at all? So Miss Wanda, we'll start with you.
Oh, for me, I went to the beach a lot and I slept in and I stayed up late.
Okay. Introduce yourself and tell us what level of education you teach.
So I'm an elementary school teacher, and this year I'm slated to teach first grade.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
Oh, they're still so sweet.
They are still very sweet, and it's awesome. I love my job. I love what I do.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, thank you and welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Miss Susan.
Hey.
Please introduce yourself and tell us, did you do anything fun this summer?
So I'm Susan Reilly. I'm a professor of economics at Florida State College at Jacksonville. And I also am the director for the Center on Economic and Financial Education. And with that, I do workshops to help teachers learn better ways, or new ways, I should say, to teach economics and personal finance.
Awesome.
And what did I do fun this summer? I don't know how fun it is. Truly more work than fun. But I adopted a 2-year-old rescue dog who had a really, really hard life before I got her. Like, if you remember those Sarah McLachlan commercials, or the Humane Society commercials with Sarah McLachlan singing, and you had to change the channel real quick to stop from crying?
Yes.
My dog was in one of those. Like, she's in one of the National Humane Society stuff. So she is an absolute mess. And I love her. And there are fun times, but I haven't been able to sleep in. 7 a.m. every morning, or she gets me. So that's what I spent my summer doing.
That's truly a labor of love, just like teaching. Labor of love.
I prefer teaching, I gotta say.
Me too.
All right, ladies. Well, let's jump in. I want to talk a little bit about, this year is a lot different. It's a lot different. COVID has changed all of our lives. So what are some of the things that you're doing to prepare your learners for a strong start to the new year? Either one. Whoever wants to jump in first.
Okay, I'll
You go ahead
start.
and go.
Okay, I'll start. So I didn't say my name was Wanda Lankford and that I'm a first grade teacher at here in Duval County, the school called Chetts Creek Elementary. We have a theme every year at our school, and this year's theme is being a game changer. And so we're going to be game changers at our school. And what I like to start with is all about relationships. I want to make sure my students know that I care about their being. Now, being that they're first graders, they're kind of coming in as kindergartners. Because, we had virtual teaching this past, the last end of the school year. So what's important for me is right off the bat, day one, is to set my expectations for them, to let them know how I expect them to come in the classroom, unpack, to do the things that they need to do to be successful. It's all about relationships and just setting the bar high. Another thing I'm thinking because of the pandemic is that I want to make them feel like they're successful. Because they've missed some things. I'm not really sure. I won't say that they've missed, but virtual learning it's very different in school learning. And so I want them to feel successful off the bat. So there probably will be a lot of reviewing the first few weeks of school.
Okay, very good. How exciting. How exciting. And I'm just so encouraged that you are taking so much effort to help these young people fill in any gaps they may have experienced or may not have experienced through virtual learning. So I think that is so important. Thank you. Kudos to you. Ms. Susan, tell us, how are you preparing these college students for success and as well? But you train with, what people may not understand is that you train K-12 instructors. You give them some strategies and information about how to teach economics and financial literacy in the high school, and I'm not sure if middle school is incled.
Yeah, all the way through, all the way K through 12. Awesome. And I do have kindergarten teachers too.
Awesome.
Yeah. But I'll get way off topic if I start talking about that. You asked, how am I going to get my students ready to go? So I'm actually doing a somewhat slower start than I normally do in my class, because all of our learning is going to be done online, all remote learning in my class. Even though it is scheduled to be a hybrid class, it's going to be synchronous but online learning. And so my students won't have me physically present. They won't have my office to drop by. Yes, they can reach out to me in other ways, but that physical presence is tough to replicate. And so I am creating a way for my students to get to know me on a personal level that's a little bit more interactive and engaging than just having me stand in front of them or like on a screen in front of them, just, read my CV to them. And like to really just make sure that they understand what they're signing up for. So just like with your first graders, you've got to set the standard for success high. You've got to make sure that they understand what's expected of them, because if they don't understand that in the first week of class, by the second week, when you're into the content, there's no way. And when I see them in class, I can say, I see you are not you're not with the program, and pull them along with me. But to do that online, it's going to be more challenging. So I've got a slower start to this semester, reaching out early, and I've enlisted a close friend of mine who made a video to tell them to make sure that they that they read the syllabus.
Okay, we will get to that one. I know what you mean. All right, so how has your teaching strategies changed since the pandemic, or even your whole philosophy, your pedagogy of teaching? How has that changed since the pandemic? Susan, you can start. You can go first.
Yeah, we'll go start. It really hasn't changed too much. Like, I'm trying to, because I can't change who I am, right? True. So I'm just finding ways to leverage the tools that are out there to enable me to be me and to teach in the way that I found my students learn, but online, right? So I'm using a lot of the I'm using like Zoom and or not Zoom, but a Zoom sort of thing in order to do that synchronous face-to-face learning. I'm doing a lot of collaborative learning with that, where students build graphs together. So I teach economics, and economics is very, very graph heavy. And so I can turn on that whiteboard feature and get more students engaged than I would have in a classroom. So I can say, okay, Anne, I've drawn the axes for this graph. You label them. Okay, Juan, now you draw a demand curve. Alex, you draw a supply curve, and somebody else. And so each person, and it's not as intimidating as it would be in the classroom when they've got to stand in front of the whole class. It's a matter of touching a screen. So I test drove this with my students over the summer, and they really liked it. Now that's a class that they signed up for fully online learning. And I had a couple of students who told me that now they feel like they've been missing out doing a lot of online learning, because typically there's not that much professor engagement in it.
Okay, very good. Miss Wanda, how is your strategy?
And so my thing is totally different from Dr. Susan, because I'm actually doing face-to-face and brick and mortar. And so the number one thing is, because we're in a pandemic, I want my students to feel safe. I want them to know that they are going to be safe in my classroom. Now, things are going to be different. We don't have a lot of community this year. Everyone will have to have their own pencil box. All of their things will be their things. They can't really let their backpacks touch each other's backpacks, and we can't share materials the way we normally would do, where you have a table captain that will go and pick up the materials. Well, I probably can have a table captain, but probably not with a pandemic, because you don't want to have to cross-contaminate. So it's going to be a little different in that regard, that every child will have their own things. It's going to take a little more planning on my part as an educator, especially to have math manipulatives available, all the things that they're going to need for all the different subjects that I teach. I'm going to have to really be ahead of the game to have their stuff organized and ready just for them. So that's going to be a little different this year because of the pandemic. Again, it's different. Different is not necessarily bad. It's just different. And so I'm a cheerleader, and I'm all about cheering them on, even though it's different. So
absolutely. Well, the doorbell isn't dinging, but I see someone knocking at the door. So we're going to invite one more guest in. How about that? Okay. So look who we have. Oh my goodness, he's coming into the house with his mask on. Well, I would like to get everyone to meet someone who I have had the pleasure of meeting almost a year ago. And he is just a phenomenal person. So everyone, please share some love and some claps for none other than Dr. Louis Dash. Give him some love.
How you doing?
Yay!
How's everybody doing?
Fabulous.
So unlike us up in North Florida, he is actually in South Florida representing Miami-Dade.
That's my home.
Yeah.
Well, yes, I did, because you were a Miami Dolphin cheerleader. So
yes.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
A long time ago.
How are things down in South Florida? How is it going with the pandemic and going back to school and all that good stuff?
Well, it's interesting. The news is trying its best to report things accurately. You have, on one hand, you have science reporting it and people trying to state scientific fact. You have people who are ignoring scientific fact, and they're running on emotion. They just want to go out and party because they have cabin fever. And you have, in the middle of that, real concern. Not that cabin fever is not a real concern, but real valid concerns with regards to employment, children getting hands-on education, tangible education, and just a lot of worry. So with the natural anxiety level where it is, and Florida coming off of being the epicenter, we're all tasked. We're the educators here in South Florida are tasked with being calm and ready to pivot at any moment. That's my aim.
Okay, I like it. Calm and ready to pivot. I love it. I love it. Very good. Very good. Well, Dr. Dash, as an administrator, what are some of the best practices that you're sharing with your faculty members to help engage students and retain them from the very beginning? Because we know that, again, this semester, we just don't know how things are going to go and what could happen 1 month from now, 3 weeks from now, so how are you preparing your faculty?
So it's quite interesting because very much like this excellent panel that you have here, Dr. Susan Reilly and Miss Wanda Marie, my cheerleader. Okay, I'm in good company. So we have worked to build capacity with our teachers. We did several quick surveys to identify teachers have a litany of digital literacy. So we want to make sure that our teachers were comfortable using technology in their home. And those that were not comfortable using technology, we brought them into the school before the spring break of last year. And we assigned them laptops that had the latest equipment, laptops that had cameras, Intel core processors, 10 generation, Word, you name it. We did a very aggressive campaign and moved directly to Zoom. We allowed teachers to have some autonomy with regards to other platforms in the classroom. So everything was entertained, from Edmodo to Google Classroom, Google Docs, to Microsoft Teams. You name it. If it came from the heavens or the rafters, we used it. But our primary focus was to make sure that we were building capacity with our teachers, because we knew, as an extension thereof, if our teachers were comfortable with the technology, they then could transfer that comfortability, that system ready to the students. And as you know, our students as I heard, they can be a little, they're nervous. They want that. I think prior to this, people took the ability to the human touch, that human element.
Yes.
They probably took that for granted. Not anymore. So now that you have the screen, yes, we're talking, but I'm just going to say it: the power of touch, the power of hug, the power to embrace another human being and to show empathy because they're going through something, and you're there and you can feel what's going on. We've had to adapt because we're not one-on-one in person. So we everything that we possibly can to ensure to those students, our students, that we are there for them in many ways, in many different ways, but just not face to face.
Wow, very good, very good. So what do you, the next question, which was not on the list, but what do you foresee as the greatest challenges that are facing our educators for this present semester? And this is for everyone. What do you see as the greatest challenge? And, and with that challenge, of course, do you have any suggestions on the front end of how you could prepare for that challenge? I'll let you ponder on that for a second. The greatest challenge. So, Ms. Wanda, would you like to jump in and start that?
I think the challenge for my age kids, because they're first graders, would just be the fear. Once we get past that, okay, you guys are going to be safe. Then the next challenge would be just getting them in that routine of having to social distance, even though we're still face to face. I do think that's difficult for children. I know kids are, but I do think that what we instill in children will eat. So if we breed love, if we feed them love, they're going to love. If we feed them positivity, they're going to eat positivity. If we feed them fear, then obviously they're going to get fear. So I'm really of the mindset of just treating them as if they are my own children and teaching them about, we're not going to fear. We're going to do the right things. We're going to follow the guidelines, and we're going to have fun. this is going to be a fun year.
Yes.
And like I said, the first 9 weeks probably will be all about making them feel successful, because maybe they have fallen through the cracks a little bit with what has happened with the pandemic. And so the smallest things, because you guys all know, all of us as educators know, in my opinion, I believe that children can catch up. Yes. I don't know why people think that they can't. That's crazy.
Right.
Children can catch up. You just have to have the parental involvement, involve parents, and just have a guideline of what they need to do to get caught up. It's definitely possible.
Yes.
So I do talk a lot, so let me stop.
That's great. I need to add into that. I definitely want to dovetail into that we forget sometimes the awesome power of children. We sell them short, and you reminded me of that. Children can get caught up. There is nothing on a child, because children don't understand no.
Exactly.
They don't understand limitations. They just go. I love that. Yes, ma'am.
Very good. You see, I've added that to the banner. Children can catch it.
Yeah.
Miss Susan, what do you feel is the greatest challenge, coming for college students, and how are college faculty members preparing?
What I see the biggest challenge that I expect to face is of course I just draw a blank, is motivation and drive. So can I maintain their focus for even an hour and 15 minutes on like a conference call? Because those, there is real fatigue that happens in these online courses. So especially when you're doing a lot of Zoom sorts of things. So I'm having to be even more mindful of breaking my work up into smaller bits. I have plans to constantly, I've got tons of assignments for students, but they're all due on Sunday night. So whatever's going on, it's all due on Sunday night, everything, just to keep it really clear and as easy as possible for them to schedule and remember things. But because I have there are many assignments, but because I have so many of them, then I'll be able to constantly check in and see who's falling behind and what I can do to motivate them. And in my opinion, the best way to motivate students is to make sure that what's happening in the classroom is relevant, engaging, and that they are getting something there that they could not have gotten on their own. That is huge, in my opinion. So I've also broken into, rather than do 3 big tests this semester, I'm doing 5 as a way to make the material more digestible in smaller chunks. I could go on and on about the different things that I'm doing, but it's really important to me to find new ways to engage the students constantly throughout, to break it up into smaller chunks, to keep them focused and keep them engaged and that sort of thing.
Very good. Thank you. I added that, creating relevant content for students.
The good news and the bad news is that right now there's so much economics in the news that it's really easy for it to be relevant for the students.
Very good. Very good. Awesome. Dr. Dash.
Well, I think for my students, again, it's them trying to keep an eye on the prize. So we have 2 major camps, because I'm dealing with high school students and I'm also dealing with adult students. And so for the group of students that for whatever reason are not employed, this is a time that they can reinvent themselves. We approach them in a different manner. We approach them. This is a point, if you have lost your job, and when we do webinars and we engage people, we remind them, this is a moment where you can review your resume. This is the moment where you can engage in best practice for interview. This is the moment where you can pick up a book and read and reflect. This is the moment where, instead of sitting down and saying, woe with me, and having a pity party, let's reflect and take this quiet time to strategize, because everything comes to an end and everything's going to turn around. So with that, we have classes. That's when we sort of go in that hook that we have classes to offer if they are interested, that have to do with college and career readiness. that has to do with engagement. We have a wonderful case management team that I think is very skilled at talking to people one-on-one and helping to assess their social and emotional learning. Because we have seen throughout this pandemic the number of adults who are really struggling with anxiety. And where I may not be the expert to deal with that, we have case managers that are, psychologists that are on staff, and they're the ones that can talk to them and say, listen, we can work with you one-on-one in a Zoom meeting and have those individuals talk to them. And if that psychologist believes there's a need to call in medical help, they know that they can do that with our full support. So we're doing what we can, even if we refuse to let this little box stop us from doing what we need to do. Earlier this year, it was in the summer, it was July 28th. We had a drive-by recognition for our teachers and students. The 27th and the 28th. So again, understanding the pandemic that we're in and being very cautious, we set this up. We had certificates for our students who had left one level and moved to the next level.
Nice.
We had an extended bar that you would see in the park to pick up trash. We took the certificates and we put them in an envelope. We made sure that the students driving through had their names printed on white piece of paper that you could see from a minimum of 15 feet from their windshield. We told them to roll down the window. We said, we love you, but don't you get out that car. Leave. We extended that pole. We gave that certificate in the window. And for the teachers, we did the exact same thing the following day.
Right.
So we found ways to appreciate our individuals in a real space, but also, dealing with respecting CDC guidelines.
Yeah.
And that is awesome. I love it. I love it.
Very good. You made me think about mental health when you were just talking about having them sit down and reevaluate and think about some things. I mean, I think throughout this pandemic, we also need to focus on, and little babies too, just their mental health. That they miss their friends, they miss seeing their loved ones, they miss going to the movies or just doing the things that we used to be able to do. But I do like that you said this is not the end. No, it's not. No. This is just temporary, and so it's good that we can set some goals to engage them and to encourage them that this is just temporary. You're going to get through this period, and hopefully you'll come out stronger. All of us, we hope to come out stronger
together.
I fully believe that our education system is going to come out of this a different one and a better one, because my goodness, we are reassessing everything. Lots of thoughts. And if you could, I could just walk into my classroom, walk into my office, 5 minutes later, walk into my classroom and give a lecture, and it's probably fine. Right? I cannot do that online. I have to think about every little thing. And that's making my teaching, I believe, better. The students are having to do very similar things. How am I going to make this work for me? Administrators are, colleges are, the whole system from the ground up is going through a revolution. And I just saw that pandemics are often like this transitional period to help that opens us up to a new beginning. And I definitely see that happening here. And my fingers are crossed that it's going to be a bright future. And with all of us engaged and working our booties off in order to make it happen, I believe it will happen.
I agree. Excellent. So, do we have any last minute? This will be our last question. Do we have any last minute? Wait a minute, my comment didn't show. There it is. The educational system is going through a revolution. Do we have any last minute, suggestions or tips that we would like to share with students? Any student, whatever age that happens to run across this YouTube video, this Facebook video. What tips do you have to offer for them as they start this new year? Susan, would you like to go first?
Sure. Be kind and compassionate to everyone, and especially yourself.
Oh, I love it. Did you want to bring in some motivational words from one of your friends?
I'm not going to even try because I will get myself in trouble. So my good friend that I alluded to that made a video, he didn't do it for me. We're not really good friends, but it's Snoop Dogg. And I would butcher an attempt.
Okay.
So
here he comes.
I'll step through that. But apparently a lot of celebrities, including Snoop Dogg, will allow you to pay them to record a message. And some of my friends got together and paid him to record a message telling students to read their syllabus. Oh, sorry.
Okay, here it is. Okay, this is Snoop. All righty, let me pull up the right screen and share. And here we go. Here we go.
From Big Snoop Deal Double G to all the university students. Yo, syllabus. You gotta do it. You gotta read it. Man, I'm telling you, the more you know, the further you go. Tell them. Snoop Dogg sent you. Syllabus. I know all about it. Catch up so we can have a conversation. Don't be late. Let's go.
Now Snoop Dogg says it. You got to, right?
You got to do it.
That's awesome.
I love it. That was great.
Yeah.
So Snoop Dogg takes the time to tell everyone to read your course syllabus. That means a lot, you know. And people will listen to, amazingly, people will listen to a rapper long before they listen to an instructor who's standing there in front of them pouring their hearts out. But they will listen to Snoop, D-O-double-G, Uncle Snoop, all day. So he said, read your syllabus.
And I just want to say, he didn't just say, read your syllabus. He really believed that message.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, you know, the farther you go.
Exactly.
So it said that, so your comments are be kind to yourself.
Yes.
And
kind and compassionate. Compassion is really important.
Okay. And read your syllabus. I got it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. What about you, Wanda?
I just said this earlier this week. I talked about having a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset. And so I'm encouraging all young people, young adults, don't have a fixed mindset. A fixed mindset is where you just decide, it's too difficult, it's frustrating, I can't do it. A growth mindset is that you're going to put your mind to it and you're going to say to yourself, I know if I just put my mind to it, I can learn anything that's out there. And so I'm encouraging all young people to have a growth mindset and to raise the bar, because really, if you keep the bar low, that's all they're going to achieve. But if you put the bar up here, they're going to strive to get that. And so young people, keep striving. The future is yours. You can do anything that you put your mind to, but you got to put your mind to it. And so that would be my advice if anyone came in to hear that. You know, I don't have my Trump with me.
I love it. And you know, when you were talking about how kids can catch up, people who say they can't are stuck in that non-growth mindset.
They're in the
growth is so important.
Right?
Yeah, the fixed mindset. That's what I meant.
Yep.
Yeah. I said non, but might have gotten lost.
Very good. Dr. Dash.
I have one word that I'm going to expound on. I think the panel summed it up really well, but I also want to be able to add to any student out there, whether you are pre-K to collegiate, post-secondary, and adult. And that word is be committed.
Yes.
I think especially in this day and age, and I'm going to take a minute to elaborate. Millennials, everybody, nothing is guaranteed. And this idea that you get it now and this instant success, it's erroneous. Yes. Look to, if you don't have a parent that you can look to, go no further than look on this panel. You have 3 exceptional women. And I guarantee if you took the time to really get to know these women, the three women I'm sitting up here talking to, Dr. Naite, Dr. Susan, and Miss Wanda Marie, every last one would have a story to tell. I guarantee you, you had some good days and some not so good days.
Absolutely.
This idea that you came into this being, this beautiful, outstanding educator today, they're looking at you today. They didn't know, they don't know, they don't understand the path that you walked.
Exactly.
So let people understand, be committed. And yes, you're going to have some good days, you're going to have some bad days. That doesn't mean give up. That doesn't mean stop. That doesn't mean throw in the towel. All the world is mean. The world is mean to everybody. You're not special. But with that, know that you have support. And that support can come in many different ways. It can be mom, it can be dad, it can be brother, and God forbid, which is more common than not, it can be your educators.
Exactly.
Very
Love
good.
It. Love
it. Well, you all, I appreciate your time. Thank you so very much for joining me this evening.
Thank you, Dr. Naida.
Wonderful discussion.
What you doing? I love it.
Thank you. Well, that is it for this evening. Thank you again. I still haven't navigated how to pull up the comments as they're coming, but give me another week.
You'll get it. I think you will.
I'm determined.
Growth mindset. Be committed to get it right.
Everybody have
be kind and compassionate.
Yes.
That's right.
Have an awesome school year. Be safe and thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you and good night. Good night.
Good night. Thank you. Bye.